Hi, welcome back to We're Going to Talk About It. We're your hosts, Joanna.
Joel.
And today we have a very special guest with us. And if you're new here, it's an absolute pleasure to have you. And if you're an old-timer, welcome back. Today we'll be looking at a very, would I say controversial?
Is
but
it? Yeah,
debatable,
it is, yeah.
But today we're going to look at the manosphere and family. So we're going to look at, a very, the relationship, the complex relationship between the manosphere and family today. We'll let our lovely guest introduce himself.
Yeah, good evening to everyone. My name is Isaiah. So yes, actually very happy to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, pleasure to be.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about the manosphere and family.
Yes.
Where do we start?
So it's interesting because, I've always loved Isaiah's mind. It's brilliant. And you're one of the thinkers I appreciate. Thinking is not trivial. Most people think they think because a thought appears in their head. But that's the first step.
That's true.
Most people don't know how to think. But you're the exception. You're one of those people that actually think. So this topic of manosphere...
this should be interesting.
Yeah. When he told me about manosphere, I kind of asked for his opinion. And when you look at the internet or dictionary definition of manosphere, it refers to an internet community that came at around the 1970s that believes feminism is detrimental to masculine values and roles, and they're trying to fight it, and they believe that men's rights matter as well.
Can I add something to that definition?
Yeah.
They promote anti-feminist and misogynistic beliefs.
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
Yeah.
In the dictionary...
The dictionary, yeah.
But manosphere promotes anti-feminism.
Yes.
And misogynistic
beliefs. A part of
That's
definition
what it says,
on the internet.
Per definition. So you can choose to interpret it in your way because thinking is subjective, obviously.
Yeah.
But the underlying motivations of manosphere is that thing you told me, the foundation, and man is the top of that foundation. So does manosphere then derive or infer that men deserve to have more rights than women since they're the foundation, or they are I would say, do women have to be subjected to subjugation because man is the masculine embodiment of like courage and fear and everything in between?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've given a very conclusive kind of analysis, but
Yes,
let's
you
pick
have.
it up from there.
Now, the way I'm looking at it now is that everything is subjective. So yes, we do have the two sides to every coin. But at the end of the day, everything starts with ideas. These are all just ideologies. When we come to feminism, there's two sides of feminism.
Yeah.
We're looking at the pro-woman activist, and we're looking at the man-hater activist.
That's
Those
true.
are two different categories, branded under the same bracket of name.
Feminism,
Now, with human beings, we like extremity. It helps us define things better. Now, let's look at, for example, introverts, extroverts. It's so hard to find somebody deeply explaining the ambivert. Why? Because that's a neutral zone.
Yeah.
We like extremity. It helps us define things better. It is red. And when I start asking you about colors in between red and blue, well, you will get lost.
Yeah.
Now, the gray
That's
zones,
true.
those are the
Yes.
hardest places.
Yeah.
Now, when you come to the manosphere, yes, we're seeing two groups of people. Now, these are two sets of ideologies, two sets of personalities. Now, the misogynistic side is there.
Yeah.
The anti-feminist is there.
Like men going their own way, that's absolutely misogynistic.
Men doing what?
Men going their own way. It's like a community that, they're absolutely against, like the traditional. Yeah.
Now, understand one thing with the major groups of misogynists out there that we have today.
Okay.
It's a very, very tiny minority of men that actually hate women. It's I could call it a mental disorder to a point, because genetically you're coded to blend with the opposite sex.
That's
so
true.
in your
And
natural,
that's very true.
Yeah,
That's
in
very
your
true.
natural understanding, you are opposing the opposite sex. That goes deep. That's psychological.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a problem.
It's thick.
Actually,
Yeah.
the psychological underpinning to your assertion is that when you look back at the Bible, Genesis, when in the world garden, so I'm going to skip all the psychological underpinnings from them being created and the fruit being eaten. So when they ate the fruit that's supposed to represent the good and evil, knowledge of good and evil, it made them self-conscious. But Adam's sin was that man will do anything to try and impress woman. And that was his sin. Not his only sin, but
curse?
one of his sins. Not his curse, but his sin. That because when God came and asked, he was like, Adam, where are you? And he was like, I'm hiding. Then he was like, why are you hiding? Well, I'm naked. And then he was like, how did you know you're naked?
Yeah.
How did you find out? Like, if I'm to relate it to present day circumstances, how did you find out that you're insufficient? And then he said, well, it's woman, the woman you gave me. And that's a very common thing that happens even in present day society. You ask someone, man, your life is going so bad, we left campus, but you're still a brokey, and you'll be like, man, it's that woman I have. And that's the sin that Adam committed. He shifted everything to woman. And that kind of makes sense because man will do anything to impress woman. And it supports your assertion that there are very few misogynists that are actually true to their cause.
Yeah. But on that very point, you understand that sometimes, not that it doesn't matter, but like if you take a very high platform and you give it to a small group of people, their message will still be heard. So this doesn't mean that their propaganda hasn't been effectively spread. I think it's safe to say that they've gotten to the hearts of very many young men that grow up with the idea of abandonment of traditional family values, which I think is the core of misogynism. Yeah.
Now, one thing I can say to that, the both of you have jumped on one very important factor here. We're talking about family.
Yeah.
Now, you're basing on communication.
Okay.
Now, the major cause for the misogynistic groups that are rising right now is a failure to communicate. And not just communicate linguistically, I'm talking communicate self. Now, men are referred to, and men actually are biologically more rational than women. Women are more emotional beings.
Yeah.
Now, that comes down to intellect. We have rational intellect, they have emotional intellect.
Yeah.
I would quickly come down to the decision of genocide. A woman would go through 6,000 other routes before coming to genocide.
Well, that's why, according to statistics, men have a higher suicide rate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Men are more violent. Men are more, should I say, confrontational.
Yeah, that's true.
But now the problem comes in when a man is faced with a man, I know how to communicate my half-baked emotions.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm feeling my emotions in entirety, but...
well, that's also debatable. A few, maybe not every man, but yeah. Like
no, I'm getting to that.
Yeah, okay.
Now, we all feel emotions, that's the thing. But men being more rational and as a state of mind puts us in a position that when it comes to communicating my emotions, the message comes out, I could call it ragged.
Yeah.
To a fellow man, you understand my broken English.
Yeah.
You understand it very
yes.
You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you speak the same language. But when I'm talking to a woman,
it's different.
She's articulate with her emotional expression.
Wow.
So she wants it word
better.
for word.
Yeah.
So if I'm not able to deliver word for word, there will be misconception.
Yes.
So now we're looking at men who have come into a world where you are demonizing sadness, you're demonizing loneliness, you're not supposed to be depressed. And we look at all this, it comes back to your mental health. So now, if I'm demonizing those parts of me, and let's understand these are the fullness of who you are.
Yeah.
Being sad is part of who you are.
Yeah.
The happiness, the joy, that's all life in general.
Yeah.
So if you're going to cut one fragment out, are women really safe? Because a woman is all this in expression.
Yeah.
So we can't trust a man that doesn't view, let me say, the other parts of who he is
And
in society with women who are entirely who this is. Their life in general.
And that difference kind of creates majorly most of the, okay, not most, that would be extreme, but some of the catastrophe that's within the world. So you talked about communication and the vital differences between man and woman that are actually ignored and are a cause of very many divorce rates.
Yeah.
But then communication, that's logos. That's kind of, it's an archaic term, Greek term. Logos to mean there is a psyche and a logos. A psyche is the soul, then the logos is the knowledge, the spirit and the knowledge. And that's how dialogue came about. It was inferred from that term, logos, to make dialogue. So imagine how much could go wrong if you say the wrong thing to your wife.
Exactly.
And men actually mess up at this point because we are not women and there are vital differences between men and women. Yeah, and when you're talking to her, she's not going to relate to you the same way. It's like you're speaking a different language. That's why I love this title of men are from Mars and women are from Venus. That's how we should look at it entirely.
Yeah.
But do you know how important the role we have is? Now, they say men are leaders of families, but being a leader doesn't involve standing at the front. Being a leader involves finding the people where they are. I'm talking at administrative
them
level.
in some sort,
finding them where they are and bringing them to where you want them to be. So yes, let's say I'm the vision bearer, the breadwinner. I found Martha, she's very beautiful. When I was dating, I have to get Martha to a common state of mind. That means I have to find Martha where she is.
And take her to where you want her to be.
Gently to where I need her to
Gently, being a key term,
Exactly. But now the thing comes down to this. When you're dealing with a woman, where she is emotional. If you can't express yourself emotional, it actually comes down to intimacy.
Yeah.
You will fail to be intimate. Now, let's look at intimacy. Into me, I see. Now, let's look deeper into that.
That's interesting.
You can't be intimate with somebody if you've not been intimate with yourself to begin with.
Yeah.
So to
That's
express
so true,
intimacy,
Into me, I see.
you must
that's
see yourself in wholeness. Understand every part of you, every facet of who you are. And you may not, because you're deep. You keep growing. And
Okay.
you're literally an outward abyss, if that's the word.
And that gives me, a question. So where is that line where, let me say, the manosphere clashes with the current, let me say, feminism? Because sometimes I think when you go into, like, at the bottom, it just feels like a battle of the sexes, If men are saying, oh, well, if women have been accorded a new economic and social and cultural status, then there is no point in adhering to these traditional values anymore. But then women are also saying that, well, I don't want to be tied to my household. I think that the best thing for me to do is spend my prime years, my 20s, 30s, looking after myself and after my career. And I think that abandons one of our primary functions, which is to, propagate the next generation as this generation. Do you feel like it's a battle of the sexes?
The grounding of all that comes from insecurity.
Okay.
Where men felt our power came from the money we had, the status we held in society.
Absolutely.
I didn't need to get deeper with who I was to relate with anybody else.
And that's why now women having a higher economic status seems like a threat.
It forces me to look inward.
Yeah.
I'm not used to that. I don't like reading the pages in my book. It's a very dark place. The inventory of my supermarket, it's stacked with grocery.
Okay.
But at the back, it's dark. It's an empty refrigerator.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to look at that.
Yeah.
And I believe also your point makes sense, but I believe down to the root of everything, it's down to absolute confusion. So why feminists revolt? Because they feel they're being subordinate to the man.
Yeah.
And why men are revolving, they feel the focus is shifting from them for once over a period of centuries, and it's now on woman.
That's
why they're revolting. So that's the confusion.
A faction like men going their own way, promote something like that.
And that's why I love explaining things using the Bible, because let's drift back into the Bible, like that part of when woman was created, because man was created, he was put into the garden and he was given. That's how the logos becomes sufficient now in our present day era, because he was given the power to name and put everything in order in his walled garden. And that's, if you're related to modern day circumstance, that's like your fortitude, your home. And even if you have no fence at your home, probably the barrier or the boundaries in the imagination of your neighbors, because no one is going to just walk into your home even if you have no fence.
Yeah.
There is an imaginary boundary, and that's a crazy thing that happens, because I used to imagine that borders, like if I stood between the border of Uganda and Rwanda, there's like a big wall. It's just land. You can literally step into the country and jump out.
No, I'm not supposed to
And
be
that's
there.
a crazy thing to understand. So where the confusion comes in, women, modern day women, radical feminists, view the Bible as being a patriarchal kind of book. It promotes the patriarchal society. But if you treat deep into the Bible, when woman was created from Adam, she was created in the same identical way. That's a wrong term. In the same way, though not identical, but complementary.
Yeah.
And this is where people go wrong. They think woman is under, but if you read the Bible and interpret it, and the archaic versions are very good for this, because modern versions can be led to like subjective minds.
Yeah.
But that's what it means in its
complementary.
In its complicated way, that woman is equal to man, though in you're complementing man, and that's how they refer to man as helpmate in the archaic versions, to mean like beneficial adversary.
Like we finish each other.
Yeah,
somehow.
Exactly. We complete each other.
Yeah.
And feminists go wrong this way, and they feel like, and also the idea of, which we shall relate to family as well, that identity is something you get to define subjectively, that your identity, you choose what you want to be. It's like a mockery of God. I am who I say I am. That's like a mockery of God, because you don't get to choose to say I am who I am. You just live in the pre-existing values and you live in that moral order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at it like this. This all comes back to insecurity again.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to place the situation of the men, the misogynists in the manosphere.
Okay.
The misogynists are in a place of pain. majority of these people, and I've been there as well.
That is absolutely
my
true.
first heartbreak. After my first heartbreak, it was a dark place.
Mm-hmm.
Like I first went to sadness. I went through the fear, then the anger kicked in, and the rage phase.
Yeah, it was
actually they call it
horrible.
red pill rage. Yeah, like
Red pill, yes.
it
And
went.
that's a manosphere
Yeah,
kind of
That's a
terminology.
Manosphere
Absolutely.
terminology. But
Yeah.
like it took me, and it really shaped me in the wrong place. Now anger is so powerful. I read all the right books in all the wrong ways.
That's so true. That's so true.
so true.
Yeah.
I got the wrong
that's like
message.
the teacher only, the student only being able to fully learn a lesson when they are ready, regardless of whether the teacher is there or not. Because you had the material, you just were not learning the right lesson.
I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
And then I entered this space whereby I changed to this whole new person. And as I grew. And I became, someone better. I understood deeper. And I began to see women in that phase, that space I was in, that darkness, I didn't really see women for the fullness.
Yeah.
And that reflected for me. I didn't see the fullness in myself.
Yeah.
Now, all this pain, at that point, if I was given a chance to be an active participant
Yeah.
in the manosphere,
Mm-hmm.
misogynistic style, definitely I would be there. But now that's the thing. You've not addressed the insecurities in you. Now, insecurities come from weaknesses that you do not want to look at.
That's true.
Now, when I address them, as I've said, men had what they stood for, and that gave them their power.
Yeah.
In the absence of these things, you're forced to look for something in you that's greater than what you are right now.
Yeah.
And that's so hard.
You
That's
see,
so hard.
he mentioned something really vital there. You said something about, there being an underlying insecurity. I love to think that sometimes we forget that a lot of these opinions that seem very strong come from places of experience. And this is not to say that you can't teach someone through your experience, but sometimes people have very strong beliefs about something because they've experienced it from a place of pain.
True.
You understand? And that is why you see a lot of the members of the faction fathers' rights activists are men that were denied custody after a divorce, yeah? So they are going to spread misogynistic propaganda, and they are going to go against family, against marriage, against having children, because they experienced it from a place of pain. And yet they forget that some of this information lands on fresh minds. People that
that's
don't
true.
even know,
That's true.
okay, am I going to get married?
They think they're helping people.
Yeah,
They think
yeah.
they're helping people, but they're making people make, how can I say that? It's some sort of
denying us the fullness
premeditated.
of our own experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Couldn't have
And
said it better.
Yeah, that's so crazy. I think that's why Andrew Tate was able to seduce a multitude of masses.
Exactly.
And he gave a false idea of what masculinity should be and should look like. And everything that you do outside that bracket is antithetical to the whole notion of masculinity.
I'd want to correct you there.
Okay, correct me after this. But
Yeah.
after he seduced masses and he defined masculinity in his own subjective manner, it landed on fresh minds like mine then. When I saw Andrew Tate and with all the pain I was feeling and that comes with being like a man, you kind of want to believe this. Oh, no, you don't want to believe this. You actually believe that.
Yeah.
And you're like, I will impose my authority this way. My status should show. If a woman is not like this, I'll be stoic to her. But then you neglect the important factor. Like, if you carry this into marriage, woman, it's not a power dynamic. Maybe if you're like Karl Marx, but if you're to view the world through a story of the Bible, it's not a power dynamic. Woman is your best friend.
That's true.
And what would you, under any circumstance, say that woman is supposed to cook, no matter how tired she is, even though I have the extra energy to take on that extra responsibility, just because if I do cook, it's antithetical to my masculinity because Andrew Tate told me so.
And that's why I love the statement, submission doesn't mean suffering. Yeah, it doesn't mean that, because religiously, according to the Bible, women are called to be submissive. But being submissive doesn't mean that you have to suffer.
You're not subordinate.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one of the things that the current feminists get wrong, which in turn makes their bad behavior is kind of loaded through, the current feminism. At least that's what I think.
I feel like they don't see themselves for all they are.
Yeah.
Now, for starters, let's look at what leadership is. To lead is to serve.
Yeah.
The core foundation of leadership is service. To serve, you must submit.
And sacrifice.
There's all the S's there, but
Yeah.
yes, we can agree submission is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, wherever you're placed in the family, older brother, younger sister, mother, father. You are all leaders.
Husband,
in your own facet.
wife, yes.
Exactly. So should you fail where you are, the whole unit collapses.
That's
so
true.
that's how vital you are to the family. So women in turn are leaders in their own.
Mm-hmm.
Now, through their submission, the family thrives. Now, the point is looking for a man to submit to. That's also a problem.
Yes.
But the moment you do,
A
your
man with
submission-
all the S's.
there's the man with all the
Service
S's.
and sacrifice and
And sometimes who you are is enough to change who he is. In the sense that we've seen enough Christian women.
Well, that's debatable.
No,
I feel like it's so hard to change men these
I
days.
said sometimes.
Sometimes, yes.
Actually, no, it's easy to change men for the fact that you guys address our emotional sectors.
Yeah, which is very vital to...
On a rational sense, I'll say it is, and I'll do as it is. But when you start to tap into the emotions, you start to see me go lopsided sometimes.
Maybe I should consider this.
I should try this. I should change this. Now, it's only a woman that can do that to you, not your brother.
Absolutely.
Yeah, your brother can give you a new state of thinking, but he has to deliver it rationally with proper cause and effect as to why or not. But women deliver it in a sense that gets you.
And you know
To float.
that's what God gave woman as a maternal responsibility.
That's
they have
true.
this maternal instinct with them, and if you look at it, even if you choose to look at it in your story of power dynamics, women always bring. I'm looking at people who believe in the story of power, that power controls the world. Women always bring like the needs of the marginalized or the people who are undergoing suffering. Because as a man, you
The
might be
underdogs
able
and,
to overlook that, but as a woman, she'll be able to bring this to the.
Yeah, I'll ask. You see, while we're just begun, he said something about we love the extremities. They're exciting. We don't love the in between. You know, that's why it's not extrovert versus ambivert versus introvert. It's just the other two.
The gray areas.
The gray areas. And I feel, and I don't know whether you are trying to highlight that they're a bit vital. And I feel like as we are here, we are not pro manosphere. Neither are we
Pro-feminist.
we're
current
just
feminism.
educating.
Yeah, so like that space in between, that's a beautiful space that I wish we could all nurture. And I feel like that also leads to that it helps people to realize that we don't have to abandon the traditional values that have existed within us as a society and as a culture of, the human race. From time immemorial, man was made for woman. And if we continue to fight each other, we're doomed. There will be, a time, I don't think one, side can finish the other side. But in order for us to propel the human legacy forward, we have to coexist the way that we're meant to coexist.
Yeah, understand our differences and, kind of live together.
You guys agree with me when I say God exists in the maybe?
And then maybe elaborate on that.
What's faith? The
Faith.
hope in the unseen.
Yeah.
When you choose to address the gray areas of your life,
Yeah.
you've assumed formlessness. And the world is formless. Only
That's-
then can creation begin.
Yeah.
So honestly speaking, if you want the extremities are defined. They're clear lines, patterns, boundaries.
Yeah.
In the gray zone, in between the introvert and
That's
the extrovert.
so true. I love that you've said that because there is a lot to learn. I feel like when you
Leave
address...
ideologies, look at you.
Yeah.
The gray areas of you, the places you haven't touched, haven't
Yeah.
explored, soil you haven't planted on. There's so much you could be, so much you could do
Yeah. And
that you
learn.
have no idea.
One of the things that paralyze us in life is our belief of knowledge,
Yes.
knowing. So I know this, extrovert, introvert, like that definition, that very acute definition of something that normally prevents further search, further research,
I see when the insecurity
a
comes from.
further
Because
further reach.
I can't see knowledge outside. Actually, I can't see trust outside knowledge.
Yeah,
Now, if I don't have knowledge of who I am not going to trust myself.
absolutely.
So at the end of the day, now let's look at I've talked about men a lot. Let's look at the feminists right now. Have you noticed majority of these feminists are in the ideology that I'm not going to go to the gym to work out? Why? Because I'm not doing it for men, I'm doing it for me.
Yeah,
So at the end of the day, what you're trying to say is, I do not want to look good for a man. Yes, but you don't want to put the work in to get a high-value man. Actually, high-value men have this problem in the sense that you're going to do all you can. Actually, draw this example for my boys a lot. And yeah, they really look at me in the sense of
Joe,
you're
let's
doing
talk
too
about
much.
high value men.
High-value men.
He's very attentive right now. He loves it.
Now, in this situation that my boy is doing engineering, and he's like, oh no, I just want a calm chick, someone there. No, what do you mean you want a calm chick? Like, there's no depth to her, nothing out there. It's like, no, she just just has to be.
Yeah,
I'm like,
exists. Yeah.
you pass through 16 years of the education system. You want to do a 4-year degree, go for a master's, sweat for every block that you put on that piece of land
and you want a
to
calm
build,
chick?
and you want a calm lady.
You don't want a calm lady.
Just want someone just to be. No, you want someone that represents all the hard work you've been through. Absolutely. Somebody who's going to come through and push with the momentum, not just jump on the boat.
Yeah.
They're going to pedal, they're going to roll.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I can't get this person from a society of women that say, no, you know what, I'm just going to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, majority of the non-feminists are genetically blessed.
Yeah.
Beautiful women, young ladies, actually even old ladies, like generally in the sense that they've not really faced a certain degree of rejection in life. Now, the thing with men is we face
and they don't have, thank you so much for saying that, they don't feel that need to make up for the rejection by spreading some very baseless propaganda.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, picture the situation. You're probably a girl with a bit of acne, not so tall, the smartest in class, and you're living this very average life. At the end of the day, you want to realize that most of the girls the guys look at are the pretty girls, the cool kids, the out there girl, the girl with all the Instagram followers, the sassy and...
I see where the insecurity comes in.
You see, now, on her side, she's insecure, but what does she do with the insecurity? Exactly what the men did. Now, the women are making money. The women are with us in our offices. What are we going to do? I'm going to shun them out. We've developed a generation of avoidance. Like, I'm not going to deal with this. I'm going to confront the idea of it in the shadows, make noise online, not talk to them directly, and there we are.
And I'll get some attention.
Yeah, and that reminds me of a very important topic, a very important idea, because a majority of men, they have their section. What motivates their manosphere beliefs, that ideological belief is that, we have been rejected by women, but we are not supposed to be rejected. But, well, if you look at it,
we're supposed to be superior and powerful.
And if you look at it in this manner of that, if it were you and you're a woman and whatever you do, the result leads into a pregnancy or a maternal kind of instinct where you have to raise someone, you would also be a little bit picky about the people you choose to be with.
Absolutely.
So you would want a high value man because
you feel like condoms destroy the world.
Yeah, I would say yes. I feel like we're supposed to abstain, get married.
The value of sex, the value of sex was put sacred on the result. Like, we can even leave religion alone. The fact that there was a result and effect to sex.
Yeah.
It was scary.
Yes, that's why it's very sacred.
Little Jennifer wasn't going to sleep with Martin.
Yeah.
But now we have baby Moses running around.
Exactly.
And,
by the way, in that if you look at it in that manner,
there
condoms
is
have
an
actually
end result.
destroyed the world.
There is supposed to be an end result.
You've stripped sex of its intimacy.
Yeah. And it's sacredness, if that's the word.
It's not sacred anymore. It's nothing special.
Absolutely.
Now I have to, and that's challenging in a good and bad way. I see challenge as positive.
Bad, yeah.
Yeah, it's done a lot of harm.
Yeah.
But right now I'm faced with this challenge that when I'm connecting with a lady, I have to go deeper than the body, deeper than what meets the eye. And that's so hard for a man because our view is on appeal. Women is on energy.
Yeah.
They base on the intangibles. We're more into the tangible.
Yeah.
Like, does she look good? Then I want to know her. Well, her itself,
do we connect at the chemistry level?
I may walk into a room and make one statement and suddenly two girls were really interested. I don't know why, but they're interested. Okay, now let me pique his brain a little bit more. But now with us, now in the situation now that sex has been, decentralized, is that the word? I'm in a situation now that when I meet a girl, sex isn't that deep. Number one, I have to hold the sex back to add value to it.
Yeah.
And on top of that, now I have to get to know you in places where you don't even know yourself. Now, no relationship really stands because now I have to go through multiple.
Which I feel like that was very traditional. And that's something that, as years have gone by, has been absolutely stripped of these generations. There is no depth to really knowing somebody. There is, what do you know about this specific thing on the internet? What do you believe about it? This is what I believe in. Okay, great. Let's go to your car and
I don't like the internet though. Because I had a bodybuilding phase in high school. I was bullied a lot, so I decided to get bigger. So on the internet, it used to tell me 5 raw eggs a week. Yes, to do it.
Yeah.
And then I went and I looked at the actual bodybuilders. And they're like, no, man,
It's
5 in
not
the morning.
fair, yeah. Oh.
Every morning, 5.
Yeah.
So I looked at it and like the internet limits us from, it gives us the average basic man experience.
Absolutely.
And it just sucks.
I love to tell Joel at the end of the day, sometimes we forget behind the opinion is just another face. Another
Exactly.
face of somebody that might even be unaware, if I could use. There is an information overload. You hear this thing, then you hear that thing, then you hear that thing, and it absolutely distorts even your foundational opinion that you had about something. And you mentioned something about insecurity, and something came into my mind about again the feminists. So there is this new self-care, self-treatment, which isn't a bad thing. I don't think there is any woman out there that hates to take care of themselves. But I believe that if you use self-care as a basis to abandon your traditional
reading the right book the wrong way.
Thank you. To abandon your traditional values, as you have to go pick the kid from school, and she's saying, no, it's a Saturday and we're now empowered women. I think I'm allowed to go do my nails. You are allowed to go do your nails, but you don't have to abandon your roles and your responsibilities. And I fear that that's what the current, feminists that have been given a very loud and high platform are spreading, and they don't realize how detrimental this is to a younger generation of people that are in their adoptive phase, where what they see is what they pick and what they use to build on the decisions that they make.
Most of everything I say comes from very far from the box, but this is all Satan's plan.
Yeah, I think it is.
Let's look at Infinity Games here.
Yeah.
Number one, us and him don't come from the same dimension. He was born in the realm of eternity. We're born in the realm of finite.
Yeah.
Infinite and finite.
Yeah.
So perspectives
Mortal,
naturally
immortal.
differ.
Yeah.
His conceptualization of time is different. Time does not exist to him because he does not exist in the bounds of time.
Yeah.
So now we look at the situation where we are in the bounds of time. I'm looking at 70 years, and 70 years are 70 years. But now let's look at the planning phase, strategizing. I, who lives in the frame of 70, 90 years, if I want your specs off this table, I'll simply take them off the table.
Yeah.
If he wants your specs off the table,
he'll
remove them in a way that no set of specs will ever touch this table ever again. Why? Because an infinity mindset. He thinks in the realm of forever.
That's so true. What you've said is so that's so big and so deep.
Exactly.
Does that mean that he basically he destroys the foundation, the platform, such that there will never ever.
You talk about foundations of family, but
Yeah.
the situation is this now. If you want to destroy humanity once and for all,
Make the sexes fight.
destroy the foundation of humanity. Generations are born from families. Israel came from Adam and Eve.
Amazing.
Oh yeah, that makes sense because
Oh,
when you
that's
look
so
at the
deep. That's so deep.
when you look at the family foundation, and we agreed, we came to an agreement that we perceive the world through the stories we choose to believe.
Yes.
And now when you see what the Matrix is doing or what the world is doing, they're now spreading a new kind of story. And every Netflix movie currently or any movie made in the present time, it's going to have a bit of homosexuality, if not its entirety being homosexuality.
Homosexuality
And
is
that,
the point.
What he said.
No, but I'm getting
this
to
is
my point.
Satan's,
So if that's the
yeah.
story, it's kind of it's now more adoption, right? Because
Yeah.
these couples believe we can adopt and live a normal life. But
Not
if that's how you've
recreation,
grown up, because
co-creation,
for us we are different. You do not believe in that way.
Co-creation, procreation.
No, it doesn't.
What's
It just feels like administration, man.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
adopt a kid.
Giving birth.
You do,
Okay.
you do not believe in that kind of manner because you've seen a world where it did not exist. But now imagine a toddler today. He's watching cartoons on Nickelodeon. He's getting his information from Netflix.
Yeah.
And that's how he perceives a normal life. This is
That's
normal.
what he's
so if he goes to
adopting.
school and probably is going to an international school and they say, man, me, I'm gay. He's going to be like, oh, you know what? In the other recent cartoon I watched, there were gay people. You know what? Welcome to my kind of circle.
I also
and when
love
he
gay
grows
guys.
up
I'm
and
gay
he's like,
too.
you know what? Chasing women is complicated because men get rejected by women at multi-dimensional levels because probably you're not educated as you could be. You're not as smart as you could be.
Is
You're
it
not.
that bad?
Yeah, it's that
You're
bad.
rejected every single day.
Yeah.
I was coming here and I'm looking at cars left and right, and I'm like,
So if that happens, you can delve into your insecurity and you're like, you know what, why am I bothering with women? I have my bro who understands me and we both believe the same concept, because that's the story we have been fed
Yes.
since we are. And that destroys the whole foundation,
What you're
which goes
talking
back
about
to your
is
point.
microprogramming.
Yeah.
Now,
I had that
microprogramming is like it's equals to
microprogramming.
microdosing.
Yeah.
People, I'm told people get when you want to develop immunity to your snake bite, what do? You get the venom
Of the
and take
snake.
drops of it, like in a space of 1 to 2 days, every day for a space of like a year. So in a situation where that particular snake bites you, your body has built immunity. Now, what the whole plan started from was induction from mind. Over 50 to, actually, I think the last century of media and television has created this establishment of sitcoms. Let's start from there.
Yep.
The most productive thing for a family to watch. I believe all of you watch Bel Air
Yeah.
and Friends and the likes.
How I Met Your Mother. Yeah.
How I Met Your Mother.
It's a
Perfect.
personal favorite.
Now, when you look at that, you see family structures where a man is a provider without initiative, vision, or drive. He's not strong. He doesn't have to be competent. He just has to
that's
bring
true.
food to the table.
And
Yeah.
maybe a bit funny, and that's all that matters.
He has to be a joker. If he's not a joker, the
Then-
sitcom doesn't move.
Actually, yeah.
Oh yeah, that makes sense, and that kind of derives or infers that it's okay to exist in a realm
Exactly.
where you're not
You can
competent.
be a joker. You can
Guys,
be an
can I say
entertainer.
something? You see, I feel like sometimes we look at these guys that give us entertainment, Hollywood, as they're giving us entertainment. I feel like they're spreading a
It is
much
micro-
deeper, very detrimental thing. I feel like they're destroying a lot of very vital ideologies
You'll agree on
and
the power Hollywood has in society.
exactly. I
Yeah,
feel like
that's true.
they're the godfather and we're on the strings
But-
and we don't even realize.
And yeah, that's facts. If you watched who cloned Tyrone, they cloned Tyrone,
Oh,
and
yeah, I
that's
saw it.
crazy. That's crazy. Like you're living a life, but you don't know you're being a pawn in a. That's why I love chess. You're being a pawn in a chess
And you
game
don't
that you
know.
don't know that even
Yeah.
exists.
You're fighting
that's
someone
crazy.
else's war.
And you think you have what
Control.
conscious, and you can decide that I want to eat this, but you don't know what's happening. Because recently I was reading an article on how supermarkets want you to buy whatever they want you to buy. Because if you look at how groceries are organized, the fast foods are put immediately, the fancy smelling foods are put in front.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other groceries are put at the back, the healthy, the cucumber, the oranges, and,
And the
the
lettuce
mangoes.
and the-
They are put at the other side. So you think when you enter, they've read the psychology, they know how this works. You think when you enter, you're going to buy the cucumber or you're going to buy the mangoes or the fruits or the vegetables, but you end up making a different decision. And the next day you're like, why didn't I do this?
Yeah,
Why-
maybe I'll get it tomorrow.
And you know what? Let me do tomorrow. Today, let me do KFC.
Yeah,
And
you procrastinated.
they intended that. You think it's just you deciding, but you have little control over your life. I mean, you decide that, next year I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to work out. I'm going to be like a lean diabetes fighting machine. But
Someone
what
on the
happens 2
internet is
months
saying
in?
it's not even that important.
Yeah,
Come on.
2 months in,
Focus
you're
on
like,
I know,
data science
make
or
money.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah, make
and
money.
chase currency
Do
your whole
some
life.
cryptocurrency and yeah.
And that's
I'm so against
yeah.
Forex and crypto. And it's not that if you're doing it, there's a problem with it.
Yeah.
But in the situation that and anything that teaches you to earn value without adding value to
Yeah.
society
Yeah.
is detrimental to society.
That's so true.
So we want to spend a day where we don't understand the use
Yeah.
of statisticians, the use of, and yeah, AI is taking over really. So now we're in a situation whereby as a man I have to offer something deeper than just financial assistance.
Yeah, you must know some data engineering thing and you know how to make a
Yeah.
website. And
But eventually AI will be making websites.
yeah.
So what part of you do you have that adds value to society? All that comes down to character.
Yeah.
What we're getting to with the family is the greatest way to destroy family is to destroy identity.
That's true.
Identity comes back to what we were talking about, the gray areas.
Man, woman, the in between.
The in-between man and woman. Woman
Rather not
addresses
say
the in-between.
non-binary. You know,
Yeah.
there is there are so many
There
options.
is just two.
Oh,
There is
yeah.
really just two.
Now, when you don't
For the
address the
record.
gray areas,
Yeah.
you leave yourself weak. You have openings to attack.
Yeah.
Now, in a situation where she provokes you emotionally, you're not used to addressing emotions.
Men go their own way.
Now, that's the thing. Either I'm going to avoid you, or I'm going to confront you in the worst way possible.
Online.
Violent marriages.
Oh yeah.
Man hits a woman. Why? He doesn't know how to address anger.
Yeah.
He's never been provoked in a situation where he can't react,
Yeah.
where he can't say certain things.
Absolutely.
By impulse, he hits her. Maybe she keeps quiet, so maybe it's okay. Junior's in the corner watching.
Yeah.
Junior's
Yeah.
going to get a goal.
So I think your point is really, really crucial. If you want to strip society,
Rob them of identity.
rob
Begin
them
to
of their
shape.
identity.
Actually, the whole point of the induction of mind, the the mental programming that we're doing over the generations is to put you in a space of the maybe. Now, in the maybe, you're formless.
Yeah.
As I said, God exists there because that's where you can be all you can
As long as
be.
there is God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because at this point now, we don't describe God with shape or size. We describe God as this
Super
entity.
being. Yeah.
He is all and everything. Now, in that moment, you have the opportunity to be everything.
Yeah.
But if you don't know who you are as you get into that, you never will.
Okay.
You get
And
lost.
that's
Yeah.
so true. And in conclusion, I would say this has been an enlightenment, and all you have to remember is that it's okay to have feminine attributes as a man. And I'm
Oh,
not saying
no.
I'm meaning the anima and
Yeah.
animals, because they are emotional, intelligent, feminine attributes that come with every package. If she's a woman, she has masculine attributes. That's why she's able to dominate in the man's world, patriarchal, in a, so to say, and she will embrace her animals. And as a man, there is anima, animated. We are animated. That's sort of to say where you drive the language. So when you're animated and you have a woman as a beneficial adversary, let me say you're disciplining your kid at home, you do not have to do all the masculine work if you feel you're more comfortable doing something that would be a little bit feminine.
I disagree with that, though.
I highly agree with that. Well, would you say that I cannot cook because it's antithetical to masculinity?
We've actually gone too far. We've limited it to such petty issues like cooking. Like, what do you mean cooking?
Okay,
Everyone cooks
let's now put it in the category of...
Let me finalize it. What society is looking for right now is a dominant man. That's what turns on women, a dominant man. But in the situation that we do not understand what dominance is, to be dominant, you have to be vulnerable. And not vulnerable to the woman, vulnerable to self.
That
Understand
is
who
true.
you are,
I
understand your
definitely agree with
identity. And at the end of understanding who you are is when you know what your values are, what your principles are, what you stand for. Dominance is choosing your own path without minding about
Or
the
conforming
opinions
to
of
what someone else is telling
external
you.
factors do not affect your way of thinking. That's dominance.
Yeah.
I have asserted upon thee. Before being alpha was, well, let's look at apes. The biggest ape takes them all.
Yeah.
Right now, we're diverse. We're intellectual beings. There's so many fields to dominate in. But in the sense, you know your values. As a human being, we're talking dominance as a state of person. Know your values, know who you are, know what you stand for. And choose that regardless of any type of external pressure. In a relationship, being dominant is, for a man, I could say having a firm spine, thick hide, and an open heart.
Yeah.
Learn to communicate your emotions better. And that means spending time with yourself.
And yeah, I think you've expressed that in a more better way, because I was assuming that vulnerability would be a feminine attribute, but it comes with dominance as well.
It comes with dominance.
Yeah, and
No.
if you look at the world in that kind of manner, that's amazing. You're able to, put your fortitude or world garden in order, and you do that so right that if you're able to spread your wings and community and enrich your community, you're doing that right because your values and your foundation is solid.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
as we wrap this up, this has been so fun, yeah? But I'll just leave you with one question. If you are face to face right now with a very, pro-current feminist, what would you say to her? And the man, that prominent man from the Manosphere, like what's that single line statement that you'd say to either of them?
Look inward.
Look inward.
Look inward.
Oh,
That's amazing. I think this has been an absolute pleasure. It was so amazing to have you join us today. And thank you so much for joining us. Until next week, I remain your host, Joanna.
And this has been recorded from Dansoft Studios. Make sure to look out for all your podcasting needs and any other media
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Bye.